Joe Rogan, when asked who he would vote for in the Democratic primary, he said Bernie Sanders. And he gave a really compelling argument, and I think a really flattering argument for Bernie. He said he's been around. He's so consistent. He's been saying the same thing his whole career.
Yeah.
He's rock solid. You know what I mean? And then Bernie, well, here's the video. I think I'll show it for everyone's reference.
I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. Him as a human being, when I was hanging out with him, and I believe in him. I like him. I like him a lot. What Bernie stands for is a guy who, well, look, you could dig up dirt on every single human being that's ever existed if you catch them in their worst moment, and you magnify those moments, and you cut out everything else, and you only display those worst moments. That said, you can't find very many with Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life. And that, in and of itself, is a very powerful structure to operate from.
Okay.
I totally agree.
So Bernie Sanders' official Twitter posted this clip.
They just basically like retweeted it.
Right, but in short.
They quoted what Joe Rogan said.
I think they actually made an ad of it because it says paid for by Bernie 2020.
Oh.
Which is pretty amazing that they find him that credible. That's so cool for both of them. But so now I guess people within the progressive left are outraged by this. For example, here's one prominent tweet. They says Joe Rogan has had friendly interviews with Milo. How do you say his last name?
Yiannopoulos, I think, or something.
And
like that.
Jordan Peterson yelled, "You're a fucking man," on air about a trans woman, vocally argued against allowing trans kids puberty blockers this year, says fag, and believes the world is stacked against men. So enjoy. Okay. So
first of all, even if you're not happy with who Joe Rogan is, isn't it great if Bernie can pull people from a different range of what they believe in? Like that's exactly what you would need to beat Trump.
Right. Or even just to find a common understanding.
Right.
Right? Like, but first of all, the claims she's making are so outrageous. First of all, his interview with Milo is what destroyed his career.
But she said herself a friendly interview. What's the problem with that? You can't have a friendly interview?
Well, apparently not.
A lot of people think no, you can't.
Well, so Milo, he had this, during that interview, he said something about how, like, pedophilia is normal within the gay community. And Joe shredded him on that so hard and pretty much got his whole career, ruined his whole career. So to just call it, first of all, your point is valid enough, but to call it a friendly interview is not the case. I watched a lot of that interview, and it was not friendly. It was very combative. So that's dishonest. And there's nothing wrong with having a friendly interview with people.
Yeah.
Conversations are good. These people think that if you disagree with them, you can't have a conversation. And that's I mean, this tweet is just so wrong. Everything about it. Then she goes on to say Jordan Peterson. Again, I don't understand why Jordan Peterson's such a boogeyman in this progressive left circle. I don't get it.
I think he has some side to him that maybe a lot of people don't agree with, but I don't think he's like Voldemort. It's like you cannot be associated
really smart,
with his name
guy.
at all.
We had him on the show. We didn't discuss any political
You just mentioned
stuff.
his name and you're alt-right. It's weird.
I just don't get that. I mean, I don't get it. You know?
You don't have to agree on everything. I don't think I agree with a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, I definitely don't. But you can't not say he's not a smart guy and doesn't have things to listen to listen to about. You know, if there's someone you disagree with where they're coming from, you're better off listening to them understanding where they're coming from and having that conversation. They don't want that conversation to even take place.
Yeah.
Which to me just seems that their whole stance is
how will anyone move
weak.
forward like
it's just
that?
Weak.
If both sides will just never talk to each other, what is this gonna look like at the end?
She said, yelled, "You're a fucking man" on air about a trans woman. So again, there's no context, but the context is that he's talking about trans athletes competing against women.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's a comedian, so he's trying to be funny and outrageous. But I think the point the conversation he's having is a valid one. There's no context at all. You know, it's just dishonest to frame it like, oh, he just said you're a fucking man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just screaming that to trans people. No, he's talking about a specific topic, which is contentious and controversial. And I do think that
it's definitely a conversation.
You cannot say that a man who transitions to a woman doesn't have an upper hand against biological women in an athletic competition. I mean, that just seems outrageous. But at any rate, maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's a conversation.
And I think it's a conversation.
Because this is all very new and some of it might be unknown. I don't know what happened to your body if you're taking certain
So
hormones.
while I agree with Joe on the face value, there's a conversation to be had, but they don't want that conversation. They just write him off as you're a fucking man. Which what he's saying is you're biologically born a man. Vocally argued against allowing trans kids puberty blockers this year. Again, that is a very contentious conversation. To me, that seems like totally insane to give a child something that can block puberty. I mean, they're just a child. I mean, the point is, again, I don't know the facts. I'm not going to argue one way or the other, but again, that seems like a fairly contentious issue. So I don't think that's outrageous for him to argue that. Says fag. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's just thrown in there, so I don't know. And believes the world is stacked against men. I don't think he believes that either. I don't think he even believes that, but again, it's just thrown in there. So it's like these are like the pre-canned responses to delegitimize anything he has to say. And, you know, it's like they have this purity test for the left. If you disagree, if you get anything wrong, you're not worthy.
Yeah.
There's no gray. It's like, it's crazy. I can't believe
it's such a weird direction that they want things to move to.
But I wonder if, I do wonder, because this like has 14,000 likes.
I'm assuming this person wants Trump out of office, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So how is this going to help anything?
They wouldn't just want to watch the whole world burn, it seems like. They don't, you know what I mean? Like, I made a tweet about it, and then, like, everybody's calling me transphobic because that's not that. That's not the tweet I made. That's Hot Girls for Bernie. All I was just giving context to Joe's, to the tweet, trying to give context.
By the way, what he said about Bernie is just true.
Has nothing to do with trans people.
Vouch of good character on Bernie's side, and it has nothing to do with anything. Why would you ruin that for Bernie?
They just hear the name Joe Rogan, and then they get triggered and go, attack!
They're ready.
He was already on the show.
They're ready to not support Bernie because he retweeted that. That's it. It's that easy. Like,
I saw Anthony
Bernie,
Fantano.
How could you?
Anthony Fantano made a good response to her tweet. He says, "Whoever you're planning to vote for would have gone on his show in a heartbeat, but he didn't want him. You know what I mean? Like apparently Warren was trying to get on his show, and Biden was trying to get on his show, but he didn't want them on his show. So." I said Joe Rogan's interview destroyed Milo. Jordan Peterson is not the boogeyman. You're a man to trans athletes competing against women. Puberty blockers to children is literally insane. Okay, that's my take. Maybe that's my take. I think it's a whatever. Would you even pass your own purity test under the same microscope? Nobody would. Chill.
Each one of those are such a big conversation. You just can't.
But then here they go. Here's the top comment. Lots of transphobia from you here, Ethan. I'm disappointed. I'm just giving context to what he said. How am I being transphobic? I don't even know how to not be transphobic. Like, how do I not be transphobic?
I don't know. These are all new things. Like, how is everyone already supposed to know what's the right answer to everything?
But I do wonder.
Puberty blockers. There's a lot to even know about it.
I mean, on face value, that sounds really messed up.
To me too.
Yeah, on the face value, maybe I'm wrong.
I know that some people are already doing it, so I don't know. There's probably a lot to be educated about. I have no idea. But why already cancel me for not knowing or having an opinion?
Well, apparently I'm transphobic. I don't think I'm transphobic at all, personally.
I personally think on that case, like...
But also, I just said that I'm just giving context here. You know, make whatever judgment call you want about Joe Rogan, but I just think that this person took everything he said totally out of context.
Yeah.
And I responded K just because I knew whatever I would say wouldn't be enough for them. Yeah. And I take the charge so outrageous to accuse me of being transphobic. I mean, I'm an ally. I don't hate trans people. I don't hate gay people. I support their rights and what they're doing. But it's like I'm not enough.
That's why this stuff is so frustrating.
I'm definitely your ally. That's what's so weird is that they want to cannibalize people like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm transphobic apparently. But they have real enemies.
Real transphobic people are out there.
Oh, yeah. There's people out there that want to kill transphobic people, gay people, and all this. Trans people because of religious beliefs or they're just, I don't know, scared of it. That's not me. I'm your ally. You guys gotta chill with this. But I also wonder if on Twitter these groups they organize and they have a way of amplifying their voice in a way that's not at all representative.
Yeah.
Well, they all have vested interests too.
They're like forums
I haven't clicked through, but I mean, have you taken a look at the person that you replied to?
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at their profile?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can almost guarantee you that they're like a hardcore Biden or Warren supporter. You know what I mean? They're weaponizing this because this is a useful tool to them to get an advantage electorally.
I don't know who they support, but I haven't seen any.
I can almost guarantee you it's not Bernie.
Interesting. Well, there has been a whole play to discredit Bernie from.
Yeah.
It seems like an organized effort from Hillary and Warren to kind of try to destroy Bernie. Which
I'm looking through her profile right now. She looks like she's a pretty hardcore Warren person.
Yeah, I figured.
So there you go.
Well, sorry, lady. Warren's pulling at 13%. She's gone. Warren.
The whole thing is absurd too because it's like you can take issue with the individuals that support Bernie, but I mean if you claim to care about trans rights and stuff. There's nobody who has a shot at actually winning right now that is as good for those things as Bernie. So you're completely self-sabotaging.
That is what I don't get.
Yeah, like without a question.
If this is your goal, ultimately her goal should be that a Democratic nominee will win.
Right. Exactly.
Ultimately, that would be the best thing for trans people.
I think her goal, if she was honest, would be just to. I think they're just addicted to being a victim. Mm-hmm. They like being in that position because when you're the underdog and you're the victim, you can pretty much get away with anything. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think they really think that far. They just think about.
And they don't know how to win. Democrats are so stupid. It's unbelievable.
Well, if they amplify voices like this, then we'll never win another election again.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
like
painful.
You got to get a broad set of people on board with you.
Right.
And
can you imagine people like farmers in Iowa, what they would think of a tweet like this?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, most of those people aren't on Twitter, and that's the thing. Is like the whole Twitter thing is just it's a bubble of media people.
But I'm just saying,
really isn't reflective of the average
if you're
person's
Warren
outlook.
or Hillary Clinton, it's so easy to absorb this because you want to appease these people and you think it's important that there's a lot more people than there are.
Speaking of which, how much you want to bet that woman loves Hillary Clinton and had no fucking problem with her going on Howard Stern a couple weeks ago, who is like 1,000 times, like has said 1,000 times more problematic things than Joe Rogan has ever done. Are you kidding me? It's Howard fucking Stern. Like, what? So...
Howard's pretty. I mean, yeah, he jokes around a lot, but he is.
I'm talking historic. Like,
yeah, sure.
I mean, he's had a long career.
Yeah, there's
been a lot of stages of Howard.
Howard gets a lot of shit for sure. Well, that's why she went on now and not when she's running, and everybody responded great. I thought that interview was amazing until I saw what she said about Bernie, and now I'm back to hating her, despising her.